Hello and welcome. I am Exolite and this is my channel. Today I'm going to talk about bees. Strange thing to talk about during the 31 days of Halloween, right? And this video has gone up before. You might be thinking to yourself, I could have sworn I got a notification for something to do with bees, and you did. But for some reason, the sound wouldn't work. And I uploaded it twice. So we're going to hope that the third time is the charm. You would have think that some of the other things I talk about would be kept from having the sound, but bees? I don't know. Before we get started, give this video a thumbs up, please subscribe, and leave comments. They all help my channel to be seen and recommended through the YouTube algorithm. Alright, do bees have a connection between this world and another world? Perhaps the afterlife? Well, there's this thing called telling the bees, and it's a Western European tradition. What they do is they tell the bees about important events, which include deaths, births, marriages, when somebody leaves, and when they return, and if somebody comes to stay at the beekeeper's household. If the custom wasn't done, maybe that someone forgot about it, and the bees were not put into mourning, then it was believed that the penalty would be paid, such as the bees leaving their hive, or even stopping their production of honey. Sometimes they'd even die. The custom is best known in England, but it has been also recorded in Ireland, Wales, Germany, Netherlands, France, Switzerland, the Czech Republic, and the United States. There isn't very much known about the origins of this practice, although there is some speculation that it is loosely derived from perhaps an ancient Aegean notion about the bee's ability to bridge the natural world and the afterlife. One Lincolnshire report from the mid-19th century goes like this. At all weddings and funerals, they give a piece of cake or a funeral biscuit to the bees, informing them at the same time of the party who is married or who has died. If the bees do not know of the former, they become very irate and sting everybody within their reach. And if they are ignorant of the latter, they become sick, and many of them die. After the death of Queen Elizabeth, a year and a half ago, they had their royal beekeeper. Yes, they have one, a royal beekeeper. His name was John Chappell, and he went to inform the bees of Buckingham Palace and Clarence House of her passing, and that there would now be a King Charles. Chappell described the practice to the press, and he said, "You knock on each hive and say, 'The mistress is dead, but don't you go. Your master will be a very good master to you.'" Something tells me Charles isn't that great of a master over bees. I don't know. Doesn't seem like the type. Following the death in the household, there were several ways in which the bees were to be informed and therefore put into their proper mourning. The process was described in a book in 1901. Good wife of the house to go and hang the stand of hives with black, the usual symbol of mourning. She at the same time would softly hum some doleful tune to herself. One such tune had the woman, either the spouse or the bee caretaker, say, "The master's dead, but don't you go. Your mistress will be a good mistress to you." Another similar orientation that was recorded in Germany says, "Little bee, our Lord is dead. Leave me not in my distress." Another method involved the male head of the household approaching the hive and knocking gently on it until the bees had gotten their attention going. And then he would say in a low voice that such and such a person, and he would mention the name, was dead, then the key to the family home would be left and used as a knocker. One description from the Carolina Mountains in the United States says that you knock on each beehive and say, "Lucy is dead." Bees could also be invited to the funeral, and why not? What could possibly go wrong? In a case where the beekeeper themselves had died, well, they would bring food and drink from the funeral. They would be left by the hives for the bees, including funeral biscuits and wine. The hive would be lifted a few inches off the ground and set at the same height as the coffin. The hive might also be rotated to face the coffin or the funeral procession, and then it would be draped with a mourning cloth. In some parts of the Pyrenees, a custom included burying an old garment belonging to the deceased under the bench where the beehive stands, and then they were to never ever sell or give away those bees or exchange them for any reason, or the bees would be dead. Should bees fail to be told of a death in the family, it was believed that a very serious calamity would happen, not only to the family who forgot to tell, but also for anyone who might potentially ever buy that hive afterwards. For example, one record from Norfolk tells of a family who bought a hive of bees at an auction from a farmer who had recently died. And because the bees had not been put into proper mourning, they were sickly and not likely to thrive. However, when the new owners tied a piece of crepe to a stick and attached it to the hive, the bees soon recovered, and an outcome was attributed to them having been finally put into mourning. Weddings, although the practice of telling the bees is most commonly associated with funerals, in some regions the bees have to be known if there's going to be a new family member. In Westphalia, Germany, one custom held that newly married couples going to their new home must first introduce themselves to the bees, or their married life was going to be rather unfortunate. In the 1950s article in the Dundee Courier in Scotland, describes the practice of inviting bees to the wedding. The wedding occurred in the household. The hive might be decorated and a slice of cake left behind for it. Decorating the hives appeared to come around in the early 19th century. One tradition in Brittany said that unless beehives were decorated with scarlet cloth at the wedding and the bees allowed to take part in the wedding, they would just simply go away. So, what is this all about? Do believes bees have a connection with the other world? I have a poem to tell you. Before them, under the garden wall, forward and back went drearily singing the chore girl small, draping each hive with a shred of black. Trembling, I listened. The summer sun had the chill of snow, for I knew she was telling the bees of one gone on the journey we all must go. Stay at home, pretty bees. Fly not hence. Mistress Mary is dead and gone. I don't know any bees, so I've never had to tell any bees that somebody has been married or dead or is simply just visiting. Connection to the other world? They aren't very nice, but they do make something delicious. Thank you for coming to my channel, and good night.